host who was nearly crushed by his wardrobe, Dan. Hi, dude.
Hey, dude, how you doing? You all right?
You know I'm okay, because this is the second time we've recorded it.
Listeners, this is unfortunately the second time we've had to do this section because, as mentioned before, Danny has deleted an entire album's worth of material before accidentally. And today, he deleted the intro to this podcast. So here we are again.
We're going to just pretend that we're hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, so it's going to sound really fake now if we ever laugh during this section, you know. Yeah, we're going to do sarcastic laughs.
Dude, what you been up to?
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, I had a little bit of an incident with a wardrobe almost. So I was making more room in my little studio room at home, which had a wardrobe in the way, basically. So I was moving that into my bedroom, but I decided, in my wisdom, to try and move it
Fully clothed.
Oh my God, that is the second time I've heard it.
Is it as funny as the first time?
It was actually, yeah, because I'd forgotten. But never do that. So if you want to move a wardrobe, what you should do, top tip here for the listeners, take the stuff out first. In doing so, the back leg of the wardrobe crumbled slightly.
Yeah, it looked like a cloven hoof, didn't it? In the end?
It had the look of a cloven hoof, an infected cloven hoof that had split in two.
You were a fan of a cloven hoof as well.
It's my favourite kind of hoof. Yeah, so I moved it, and the position I originally had it in made it feel like it could fall and collapse onto the bed where I sleep. So I kind of got that sword of Damocles hanging over me, like, will my wardrobe kill me tonight or not? But I've since moved it, so we're all good. We're all good.
We're in the
and
clear.
I've wedged the cloven hoof back under. So I think it's mostly structurally sound.
Engineering at its finest.
I'm not an engineer. I'm an ideas man. What have you been up to, Danny? Enough of my wardrobe escapades. No one wants to hear about my wardrobe.
I went on a spy mission with the dads from school.
Dad club.
Yeah. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me very well. I have become the organiser for the dad group.
Oh my God. How incompetent are the other dads if you're the leader?
I don't know. I wear that hat now.
Do they call you leader? Do you make them call you leader?
No, but maybe I should bestow that upon them.
It's Leader Dan, thank you. Leader Dan. How many of you went?
There was 5 in the end.
Oh, in the end?
Yeah, 1 dropped out.
Who was he? Name and shame.
His name's Gareth. He was poorly.
Oh, sickly Gareth. Unfortunately, you've been named and shamed.
Well, usually one of us gets injured on one of these like dad nights out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Actually, didn't someone break the shoulder? Like snap the shoulder last time?
Yeah, he slipped on ice.
Was that Gareth?
No, that was Ben.
Oh, Ben with the broken shoulder.
You're going to know them more by the end of it.
Okay, what is Spy Mission?
It's kind of like an escape room, but when I booked it, I explained that we're a bunch of middle-aged dads.
Yeah. Did they laugh at the time on the phone?
No, they said that they would tailor it to suit us, but I'm not sure if they did. It seems like it was still suited for an 8-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was good fun. We had a good laugh, and we now hold the title of being the fastest adults to complete the course.
Did you have a team name?
I don't know if we did, actually.
This is because you're the organiser. Any competent dad would have got a dad-like team name in there, but, you know.
Like what?
Maybe that's Gareth's job, but if it's seen as he's sick, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Dad Club would...
Dad Club?
Dad Club.
Yeah, I mean, on
nice
WhatsApp we're called, it's called the Dad Group.
The Dad Group?
Yeah.
It's not got a ring to it.
It hasn't, has it?
No. So you need something like Dad Zone. Something like that.
Okay. But after that, we went to celebrate with food.
That's the only way to celebrate, surely.
We went to Zap, the Thai street food restaurant, which I know you're familiar with.
It's amazing.
Oh.
What did you have?
Incredible food.
You sent me pictures, but I did ask what they were. You didn't reply.
Oh, I didn't know.
You replied to me, but you didn't reply to the message asking what the food was.
Well, I read the menu. I tried to order the food using the menu and then realised afterwards that I could have possibly said something...
offensive.
Equally as offensive as...
Or extremely racist. You never know.
Unintentionally, might I add.
I'll add one of them. So what was it? What kind of... Describe the food. If you can't tell me the name of the food without being racist, can you describe it for me?
The starter was a sweet corn fritter.
Oh, lovely. Did you get like a little sauce?
Sweet chilli dip.
A dipping sauce.
Had a bit of a kick to it. It was nice.
Yeah.
And then... But they brought the starter out at the same time as the main.
Yeah, that's kind
Did
of...
you have that when you went?
Yeah. They just bring it out when it's done.
Yeah, it was great. And it was really quick. And my main, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a tofu dish with peppers, pineapple.
Pineapple?
Hold the pineapple. Cashew nuts.
Oh, lovely.
And then we've already talked about this, but the finest rice I think I've ever sampled, which you told me was jasmine rice.
Yeah,
is
it's
that right?
Thai jasmine rice.
Oh God, it's so like claggy.
I've got literally a sack of it at home, and I stick it in the pressure cooker, and it's perfect.
Get your sack out.
And it soaks all the... That's a classic. It soaks all the sauce up, doesn't it, as well?
It was amazing.
It's so good. My favourite... In fact, the day after you sent me the picture of the Thai, I had to have Thai myself, of course.
What did you have?
I had a cashew nut stir-fry.
Oh, you're a fan of the cashew nut as well?
Yeah, and I have like crispy chicken, so the sauce soaks into the batter on it as well, and it's banging. No pineapple in mine, though. I don't know where the pineapple comes from on yours.
Hold the pineapple.
Hold the pineapple.
Okay.
So yeah, moving on. What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to Extreme this week.
Oh,
Pornograffiti.
I'm not a fan.
I didn't think you were. But Nuno Betancourt, it's just amazing.
He was wanking his guitar for 12 songs.
He's a very tasteful guitar player.
Still
Very tasteful.
It's still guitar wanking.
I like guitar bands where there's like the one guitar band, so that you can hear the bass and the guitar kind of interacting with each other.
Yeah,
There's a bit of
yeah.
space and everything. He jumps between the rhythm playing and the lead playing seamlessly. He's so funky with his playing. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's dead raw.
It's not too
Bit
bad.
cheesy though.
It's
In fact, very cheesy.
it's not my kind of thing. Who was that? While we're on guitarist, Danny, who was that guitarist that got punched by a singer the other day? Was that Nuno?
Oh my God.
Was that
No,
Nuno?
it was Dave Navarro.
Oh, Dave Navarro, that's the one. Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I think I sent you the video, did I? What happened there? I don't know if the tour's carried on or not, but...
It's something to do with stage volume, I read.
Something to do with drugs, if you ask me.
So the singer had an issue with stage volume increasing, and he kept...
He looked like a maniac.
Yeah, I think he's got a few demons.
That's putting it gently, I think, for
It's
him.
dead uncomfortable, the video, isn't it? Because
Really
Dave Navarro's
uncomfortable.
not expecting it.
No, the bass player grabs him and grabs the singer and takes him away. But yeah, that was quite funny.
Waiting for all that time to like reform and do a tour, and
I
it's
know.
just fell to pieces.
Funny, though.
Yeah.
Funny for me.
What have you been listening to? I bet it wasn't Jane's Addiction.
It most definitely wasn't Jane's Addiction. I've been listening to a little bit of Scottish post-rock.
Let me guess. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you got there first. I knew you'd have guessed right anyway. They've got a new single out, but I'm not the biggest fan, if I'm honest. It's a miss from me. But they don't tend to release their best songs as singles, so...
It might be a grower, though, Dan.
It could be. I've not listened to it the required 500 times yet.
Yeah, and then sometimes songs sound better based on on the point in your day as well. Like some songs are more enjoyable when you're about to go to bed.
Yeah, that's
Some
true.
songs are better when you're driving in the car. So maybe it just needs to find its suitable place in your life.
And with Mogwai, I love watching the live videos. I think I'll probably grow to love it then as well, once the live video comes out of it. They're on tour next year, so I'll definitely go and see them at some point.
Let me know.
Yeah, I think they've got a couple of dates in the UK, so I need to have a look where the nearest will be.
I'd like to see them live.
Yeah,
I bet it's
they're perfect.
a good experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Who was on the podcast this week, Danny?
Simon McMurdo.
Simon McMurdo. Who's Simon?
Simon's awesome. He's a lovely guy. He certainly knows his stuff about Nightwish.
Yeah, so he's a published author, and he's got a book just about Nightwish, track by track.
And he's got a podcast.
About Nightwish, track by track. Are you seeing a theme here? You best not talk about Nightwish the whole time, Danny, otherwise I'm going to be quite pissed off.
Oh, the
It'll
listeners
be
will have
really
to find
annoying.
out.
Nightwish. We'll soon see, though.
He's a true music lover.
And a gentleman.
Yeah. Lovely guy. Should we crack on then?
Yeah, let's crack on with the pod.
Give it a boom.
Boom. Enjoy.
Is this how you do your podcast, or do you hit the ground running?
Usually hit the ground running, but it's only me, so I can stop and start. I don't have to...
We have to calibrate.
We
I have to
calibrate a little bit. We
warm up
warm
the
up.
guest.
This is our warming up period. Because I can't just get straight into it.
No.
No.
It takes a little while. I don't know, I'm always on. I'm always ready.
Always
Give me a mic anytime. I'm not. Not at all.
Well, you've done like 60 episodes, haven't you? So
Yes, but some of those episodes I've recorded like 60 times and then just like, no, that's terrible. Let's start again. But I can because it's just me. So maybe that's the problem. If you have a guest, you can't really do that.
Dude,
you can't invite someone back.
I'm not recording any of those previous guests 60 times.
No way.
That is literally hell.
We make the best of what we got, don't we? And we
That'll
put things
do.
in post.
Well, that'll do it.
One taker.
Yeah.
One take only.
Tea Chat with Danny and
Have you tried your tea yet, Simon? We'd like to provide guests with a beverage.
I am loving the tea options. I went for peppermint and licorice, and it tastes
It might be a bit warm. It's a bit warm.
delicious.
Has it got the sweet finale it promised?
We've not got there yet to the finale.
I think the finale is more about mouthfeel.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's the sensation of peppermint
So
Per
I can
slurp.
have
per slurp. I think it's per slurp. I think it's.
multiple finales. Oh.
Oh, he's got it. He's getting it. He's getting it.
sweet finale.
I initially thought it would be you have to finish the entire cup. And
Well,
then
and
what
then
remains
there's-
at the bottom.
Is a
That
sweetness.
is the nice, juice.
And it's disgusting licorice until that point.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Just a big blob of sugar at the bottom.
I was about to
always
name a
helps.
licorice brand, but we can't do that, can we? We're not sponsored
No,
by
name
them.
it.
No, we can name it.
Very Maynards.
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 Maynards licorice all sorts.
Exactly.
Other licorice brands are available. I think that covers us. In my
so.
eyes, it does anyway, at least.
Is that what it says on Google?
I don't know. I don't even know. We haven't got a podcast lawyer yet, have we? But at some point, we're going to need one.
I think if you're hosting it, you should get one immediately.
Danny does a great job of making sure that we're legal.
Oh, nice.
Some of my claims have been
Yeah.
deleted.
I've had to edit out most
But
taboo subjects.
should we go through them now?
No, because I don't want to edit them out.
Beep.
I'll save us a job and be nice this time. Anyway,
I feel like I'm caught. Mum and Dad are fighting.
Mummy's arguing with Daddy. I don't like it.
There's no end to your talents or beginning.
I'm not sure I enjoy this guest so far, Danny. It's been a bit. It's been a bit confrontational. I'm not used to this.
I like it.
I'm
It's
used
putting
to
you in your place.
guests recoiling a little bit from me, not giving me anything back.
I'm so sorry. I will behave. I think
don't
it's
behave.
the sweet finale. It's really going to my head.
Wow. Thank you. Is it Twining? No, it's not Twining, is it? It's Pucker.
Sweet finale would be a great name for my band. I was really struggling with the name for the band.
Well, we'll
That
get
was
to it
the
later.
hardest part.
Let's not ruin the.
Sorry,
Let's not ruin
it's
the
not going
concept.
to be sweet finale. It's not.
We
going
can
to be sweet finale.
we can trim that bit out if he decides on that later.
Let's
I'm not
not. Let's
going
keep it
to.
in there. Let's keep it in there.
Sweet finale sounds too naughty.
Oh, it is a bit sexual, isn't it? It's a bit orgasmy. It's got an orgasm twang to it.
It has got that vibe
It's a
to it.
bit.
But it might be what you're going for.
I mean, who doesn't like
You
a
don't
sweet
know.
finale?
You don't know what I'm going for. I might be going for a very sexually charged project.
But it could be. It could be a very sexually charged project.
Yeah.
So, Danny, who have we got here with us today? Who is it? Who's this little fellow?
We've got Mr. Simon McMurdo.
Simon McMurdo.
It's me. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Pick and Licks podcast.
I have dreamt about this for so long.
For so long.
So literally, I've been talking to Dan about having a podcast for a really long time. And to be here sat on your podcast feels pretty like we've come full circle.
Yeah, I've had the idea for a while now.
Well, we've had a few ideas. Most of them we had to...
Oh, most of you can't say on.
we can't really say.
I'm an ideas man. Let's just put it that way, okay? I'm an ideas man.
We know.
And I don't really have many limits, so.
No, indeed. Indeed. But you now got a nice moderator in Danny that can tell you what goes and what doesn't.
Yeah, we yin yang. We kind of we come up with something that is listenable. I believe anyway.
And not too offensive.
Not too offensive.
No, but still a little bit offensive.
Just a few of those like, ooh, moments.
Yeah, well,
Just enough.
that's what actually goes out there. The stuff that we edit is offensive.
You need a really good one to get you like popping on Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to like release a proper, fully offensive episode.
The outtakes, just put them all together.
I think they've gone in the bin. I think they've been
Yeah,
binned,
we have it. Yeah, they've gone forever.
unfortunately.
If we ever do a live show, I mean, it's going to be that we can't edit that out.
A live podcast.
That'd be amazing,
That's
wouldn't it?
My
scary.
goodness.
We'll have our guitars and basses and we'll be playing the little ditties in between and stuff. So if anyone wants to fund that, please contact us on Instagram at Pick and Licks Podcast, please. So, Simon McMurdo,
Yes.
you're not in a band.
I'm not in a band.
So what the hell do you do?
Why am I here? I heard I'm your first non-musician guest. Is that correct?
Indeed.
Wow.
And don't make us regret it.
This is going to be very
No pressure.
a very short episode.
No pressure, but don't make us regret this, Simon.
I forgot what the question was. What do I do?
What do you do?
What do I do?
Like, I don't care about your actual job.
No, of
but
course
what
you
do you
don't.
do in terms of the music industry?
Why am I here on Pick and Licks
Yeah,
podcast?
why have you been invited on?
So I am a very keen enthusiast to the point that I write and podcast about music, despite having no qualifications to do so, which
An armchair expert.
Absolutely. I got a microphone and the world was my oyster. Yes. The common theme seems to be the band Nightwish. So I have my own podcast, the Podcast and The Pendulum, about Nightwish. And that kind of gave way to signing with a publisher and releasing a book about Nightwish, which is incredible.
Amazing.
And they still have no idea who I am. Or maybe they do and I'm on some kind of blacklist.
You're definitely on blacklist somewhere. So you're fully in on the Nightwish train then?
Absolutely.
What do you like about them? What's
What do
your
I like
thing?
about Nightwish?
What's the thing that
What
gets
a
you?
nice broad question.
Do they have a sweet finale?
They do have it. Well, I think we're in the sweet finale at the moment. We've got Floor Jansen. I feel like they're having a resurgence. Not
Yeah.
often you get a replacement vocalist and become even better. I'm sure you can think of some examples because you are music aficionados. But Iron Maiden with Bruce Dickinson.
Oh yeah, he went away, didn't
Yeah.
he, for a bit, and then Blaze
But he was
jumped in.
the second guy, right? He was the first guy from Iron Maiden. What was his name? We don't remember his name.
Oh, we'll put it in post. Yeah,
Paul
there was someone
something.
first, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, there was another
Paul
one, wasn't
something.
there? It's either Paul Day or Paul Di'Anno. Black Sabbath's had a few over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some would say Dio is probably better than
100%. 100%.
Oh,
Ozzy, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You certain on that?
100% certain.
Yeah, I agree.
I will not comment.
Oh.
No, I
Ozzy
think I
fan
do
there.
prefer Dio as a vocalist. I feel like Ozzy's more of a character.
Oh,
And I'm
I mean,
drawing comparisons to Nightwish. We have this situation as well, in that Tarja, the first vocalist, she's a diva. She's an operatic diva, and the metal gays love her. The Brazilian fans love her. That she's got this kind of personality that becomes more than her voice almost, which I think will always be hard to replace. But Floor is killing it.
but just not got the same attitude.
I'm not responding to this.
Is that what you're saying?
I am not. I'm sitting firmly on the fence. Thank you.
Okay.
I love all three equally, except the first and third I love a little bit more.
Fair enough. Bloody hell. So I don't really know that much about Nightwish, Simon. Though I did buy a book.
Thank you for buying my book. Absolutely. And if people want to buy my book, it's a great introduction to Nightwish. It's about every single song they've ever released, even the songs that they just performed once live on a random cruise ship that they probably want to forget. I have
you've covered
committed
it.
to history. But yeah, the on-track series that I wrote for, it's really great if you're specifically into a certain band. They have books on Opeth, they have them on Dream Theater, and then all the big names, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. So if you're an enthusiast,
I'll
it's
have a look on there.
it's a great book series. I've read a few, that's hence why I wrote one. And I love it as well because I feel like when we talk about bands, we always talk about the big hits. We talk about the big songs that everyone talks about. I love to hear about the ones that no one ever talks about. You know, the bonus track on the Japanese edition of the third album. Like, I love to know things about that. So that's why I thought that the book would be a really cool format.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think usually the songs that are album tracks are normally better than the singles. It's really weird how they choose the singles, really.
Yeah, a lot of the time they are the worst songs, aren't they?
I'm talking to two people who are very into prog, so you probably don't really like 3-minute songs with catchy choruses very often, do you?
I like a bit of everything.
Yeah, I prefer the 8-minute epics, if I'm honest. So they're never
Oh,
going to
do
be
you?
singles, are they? They're never
Possibly
going to be
not.
singles.
Possibly, although the new Nightwish song is 8 minutes long and it is a single. But they're beyond the point of trying to appeal to radio, so it doesn't really matter anymore, does it?
No, and there's no real music TV anymore either, is there? So
No.
it's all kind of YouTube
Yeah.
and streaming, so it doesn't really matter nowadays, does it?
It does not matter. It's an interesting time. It is an interesting time.
And it's I suppose that's a great companion to your podcast as well, isn't it, the book? So if you talk
Yes.
about, I suppose is it track by track?
Track by track on the podcast, so every episode's about a different track. Sometimes we have special guests, usually from like the symphonic metal world. I know my audience. I know what they want to hear. So the podcast hopefully will be back in September 2024, depending on when this is released, to coincide with the new Nightwish album, which is coming out soon. Yes, The Wind. Looking forward to that. They seem to be going in a proggy direction. I'm looking at Dan here because I know that's very much his vibe. Still
my
quite
vibe.
symphonic, though. Still quite symphonic. I'm
To
not
ruin
sure.
it, don't they?
Indeed.
I'm sure you'll give it a go.
I used to listen to Nightwish when I was 16, 17.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this
a little bit.
information, really.
Yeah,
Was that Over the Hills and Far Away?
Over the hills and far away.
You can get copyright if they know what
I'm
the
sure,
song is you're
I'm sure
trying
we'll
to
do
sing.
the full track there then. We'll pop the full track in, Danny.
If you keep it under 7 seconds, you're all right, aren't you?
Oh, is that the
Why is it
rule?
going to sound that identical to it?
It was once upon a time. So.
Danny really is the podcast lawyer. I love this.
Please do not sue us, Nightwish, or any
Don't
previous...
rely on my piece of information
No,
next.
let's not trust that.
We'll check
See,
it
I
out.
have such a niche podcast that I don't have to worry about any rules because nobody is monitoring my podcast. I can do whatever I like, say whatever I want, and my 20 listeners probably won't really care.
The FBI aren't checking in then.
Possibly not yet. Maybe one day. Maybe after appearing on this with you.
So how many times have you seen Nightwish then?
So I've not actually seen Nightwish at that. Oh my goodness,
was
so
embarrassing, wasn't
chaotic
it?
here. It's getting violent. I've only actually seen Nightwish a couple of times. So I never saw Nightwish growing up, which was such a disappointment for me. So I lived next door to probably the most ardent metalhead I've ever met in my life. I was very lucky to just happen to grow up next to him. And he was really into like power metal, basically anything coming from Europe. So this was like the early noughties, just before we really got the internet. So he was incredible. Like he would introduce me to all of these artists I never heard of. And literally every Sunday I'll go around and get a pile of CDs to listen to. Some of it great, some of it crap. But one of the ones that really started to me was Nightwish. And yeah, I was too young at the time. They did a 14 plus show at Rock City here in Nottingham. So heartbroken to this day that I could not go. I think it's the last time Nightwish ever came to Nottingham. But I didn't actually see them until their Decades tour. So they kind of did a retrospective tour, which was actually a really great one to see. They did a lot of songs from the Vaults that they'd never performed live or hadn't performed for years. So it was a really special one. And then, of course, seen them on the tours since that. Usually it's just Wembley now, so they're that level of band, one show at Wembley, and that's a lot.
I saw them at Download one year. Was you there that year?
I seem to remember seeing them.
The bass player with a big
Is he the dude with
blonde
the
hair and
incredible voice?
and the Warwick bass. I don't know which one it is. The jaggedy one. The jaggedy Warwick bass.
Marco Hiedler, with the big beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
and
has
he's
a
just
big beard.
got... his voice is unreal.
His voice is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had a lovely bass.
Yeah, I've seen them then.
Do miss Marco, yeah.
I think the guitarist had he looked like one of the elves from Lord of the Rings. when he-
Absolutely, yeah. Empu, and he is...
That's right. It looked...
He does.
I was like, whoa.
He does.
It's Legolas.
And he is absolutely tiny. And then, of course, they got Floor Jansen, who's this huge, towering, tall Dutch woman. And so to see them on stage whenever they pass one another is very entertaining. I recommend Googling it if you've not seen it before. They are quite the height difference.
So shall we start the actual...
Let's do it.
Actual proceedings.
The reason
Danny?
that I'm here, stop me talking about Nightwish, please.
That's kind of what I wanted to do. So
I
let's
can
move
take
on.
a hint. This is not my podcast, clearly.
This is the only bit where we potentially won't definitely talk about Nightwish. So this section is Simon.
I can try.
What are you going to be in the band?
Are we going straight in with the first question?
Yeah,
This is the
not
this is the
prepared.
first question.
This is the
Oh
first
my
question.
God.
I know.
Oh, panic.
So what are you doing in the band?
So I was thinking about my band and I thought about it holistically, what kind of vibe I was going for. And that kind of informs my decision of my instrument. So
Okay.
let's say this straight up front. I have no musical talent at all. I tried to play guitar. I could not do it. I cannot do it.
Have you even tried bass?
Bass, anyone could do it. But I'm joking. Sorry, that was a burn for Nan, not for any bass players listening. I'm so sorry.
Simon meant that against all bass players. Let's rise together.
Controversial. No, I could not play guitar. The closest I ever got was when I played Fast Car by Tracy Chapman on my keyboard. And then that was my repertoire. People would come round, do you want to hear Fast Car by Tracy Chapman?
Do you sing as well?
I'll give them a play. No. I can't do two things at once. And then I kind of got bored of playing Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, didn't learn anything else, and long story short, keyboard is my instrument because I have that slightest bit of experience with it, but also because a lot of the bands that I love, keyboards is such a huge part of the sound.
Yeah.
I really, really love, so we're going to go into this a lot. Symphonic metal, gothic metal, doom metal was really that was the school I went to when I was learning all about metal, to the point that I had never even listened to Metallica, Maiden, Priest. I was growing up listening to obscure power metal from my next door neighbour and Catatonia, Paradise Lost and all this miserable stuff. And yeah, back to the point, keyboards I think are so important for that. You know, the variety you can get with the keyboard as well. Play some synths, play some keys.
I love keyboard. I mean, I miss it when it's not in music, and I can kind of almost create keyboard lines in my head to what I think should be there.
Yeah.
I think it's such a layer of that music that's missing in a lot of bands.
Well, it just sits in a different like area of the soundscape, doesn't it? It stays out the way of the guitars and the bass and things like that, and you can just it just adds a nice texture. So I like organ because I like classic rock as well, and I like that kind of sound. I know you don't like it, Dan.
And blues rock.
And blues rock.
You don't like organs?
Cool. Sorry?
You don't like organs?
No, I do like organs. I just don't like classic rock that as much as Danny, and I definitely don't like blues rock as much as Danny.
Wow.
What is is it a keyboard player or an organ player in Opeth?
Keyboard.
Is it like keyboard?
It's keyboard, but it sometimes uses an organ sound.
An organ preset?
An organ preset, yes.
Exactly. This is the variety I'd want in my life. Also, I'm going to be realistic. My band is probably not going to be able to afford the London Philharmonic, so hopefully we can code some choirs and orchestras on my keys as well that we can get going as well.
We can put that patch in.
Yep.
We need to give some grandeur to the sound.
Bands like Sleep Token that have that keyboard in every song in the background, it just fills it out beautifully as like a soundscape. For me, anyway. Just want to shout out there for Sleep Token because I do love them, and I'm still a bit bitter about Martin's negative comments towards. Still angry.
He dissed them, didn't he?
It was painful. That was
If you're listening,
painful.
Martin, and I hope you better be.
Did Martin say that they were too clean? Did he call them
Overproduced.
overproduced? Very polished. Yeah. I love Sleep Token. Sorry, Dan's giving me an eye. I like them.
Yeah, I think that the latest album I've really enjoyed.
Yes.
Really enjoyed.
Yes.
Killer album.
Yes.
I want to ask you actually, slight aside, what do you think about like the mystery of like bands like Sleep Token, Ghost? I really love that. I know it's a little bit of a cheap gimmick almost, but I kind of miss that, especially with the internet and the way that you can kind of live through bands' lives on Instagram and their stories. I love not knowing everything. Like bands like Lordi, where they really try and protect their identity.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
I mentioned Sleep Token to Danny. I think you know who the bass player is, don't you? I think you've met him, haven't you? At TechFest.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
So it's a mystery, Simon, but it's not.
It's
I don't
not
think
to
it
Danny.
is to the people in the know. I think Rich knows them as well.
Yeah, I think Rich knows everyone.
Of course he does.
I don't think I'd want to know though.
But I do like the mystery of it. So
Yeah.
what would Sleep Token be like if they didn't have the image and the mystery?
Would we be
They
as
make great
interested?
music still, but would they be at the point where they could make that great music if they'd not gone through all that theatre first?
Right.
Because that's what it is, isn't it? It's theatre.
It's theatre, absolutely.
And that's how they can sell out these massive shows and kind of arenas, because they're not going just for the music. Because let's be fair, it's going to sound pretty much bang on like CD, isn't it?
Well, it's,
The CD.
it's very produced.
Yes. But it is. But the show will be what people are going for and what they're
Yes.
going to see. So I don't think you can fault it, really. Something different. I say different-ish. I love it. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Yeah, just curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, I like them as well. I do like them. That's as much as I'm saying.
Don't be too descriptive, Danny.
Full stop at the
It's
end of
only
that
a
one.
podcast based on our voices and our thoughts and feelings. That's all it is. But if you want to just give I like it answers, that's fine.
Well, I think you've just covered it all.
Oh, okay. I
Assigned.
did such a
can't
good
really-
job. I did such a good job of answering that question that you got nothing to
I
add.
can't really add to it.
Okay. But I'd rather you be quiet if that is the case.
What I can say a negative thing. Am I allowed to say a negative thing?
Of course you are.
I don't like the way he pronounces his vowels.
Well, like
that's
he's got,
so
he's
specific.
got
He's got
butter
like
on
a-
top of, on the roof of his mouth.
He like.
I'm
But
being
it's
granite.
unique.
Interesting. That's so specific, Danny. I'm just running through the songs in my head. Yeah. I can
think
understand
he-
that.
I think he
but
does
it's-
that,
I mean,
does that
I'm
on
being-
purpose,
I'm
though,
being
Danny.
really picky.
I think he does that on purpose to make him sound different.
Yeah,
But
indeed.
yeah, in turn, it gives him like a signature sound, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I do love his voice.
His pre-Sleep Token stuff, he didn't really have that. So it's something he's developed, I think.
Oh yeah, because you've heard some stuff before
Yeah,
Sleep Token.
before he was masked.
Does he do it in the track? Is it Agua? something?
Regia.
Agua
Agua Regia?
Regia.
Agua
Yeah.
Regis, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's cool. I like the compositions as far as like the structures of the songs. I like how they've kind of mashed up obviously the metal. There's a lot of like gent in there.
Yeah.
Gent. And then like was it like, is it hip hop? would you say? R&B maybe?
Yeah,
There's something
some
in there,
influence
isn't there?
there. There's some
Yeah.
gospel influence as well,
Gospel,
I think.
yeah.
I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great example of modern metal
Yeah.
and where it can go.
Agree,
and what it can do.
And although it is overproduced, I can say that I find it quite dynamic. It's a dynamic listen
It's
far as...
definitely overproduced, but I don't think that's a bad thing in Sleep Token's world. There's a lot of bands like Sleep Token that do the kind of guitar, drums, bass, kind of full pelt, but they don't do anything else. Whereas Sleep Token have got the quite, like I said, quite dynamic.
The
with it as
layers,
well.
yeah, absolutely. Keyboards. I'm going to be the keyboardist.
Are you going to advance to a keytar?
I'm not sure. I quite like the being static behind the keyboards because I don't think I will be much of a dancer dancing around the stage. I'm not sure I've got the charisma that certain bassists have.
We saw a keytar player, didn't we? Recently, the Old Angel, or the Angel, whatever it's called nowadays.
He was flipping brilliant, wasn't he?
He was brilliant. But yeah, he had charisma overflow, didn't he?
Yeah,
On that
he was-
key-
I think
Guitar.
you would. Yeah, you do need it. There's a band I'm going to see this weekend called. I think they're called Segadeath. Have you heard of them? They do like metal covers of video game songs and like anime songs.
Amazing. That sounds
Yeah.
well
Do
cool.
they sound a bit like Horse the Band? One of my favourite ever bands.
Perhaps.
Nintendo Core.
Nintendo Core.
Nintendo Core. Well, seems to be a thing. Yeah, I haven't seen them, but I imagine that guitars are involved in this. I mean, if they're going to fit anywhere, surely in a Nintendo Core band.
Decent.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, keyboards, static, mysterious behind the keys.
Are you going to be wearing some kind of mask or face paint, or are you just going to go raw?
I'm probably just going to go raw, as you beautifully put it. I'm going to try. So I'm a very smiley person, and I'm going to try and look very mysterious. And
It's hard sometimes, you know.
yeah,
Sometimes
solemn.
you have to, like when I played Download, I was trying to have the, download card. Pop that sample in there.
There it is.
Everyone.
It's got to be in every episode. You try and have that stoic metal face, kind of like, but it is hard. Yeah, when you're in front of all those people, it is nice to bang a little smile out now and again.
I'm sure if I was being an authentic musician, I would absolutely be my smiley self. But this dream band cannot have that. And you'll start to see why as the members come forth.
I'm intrigued.
Same. I've got no idea what this band's going to turn out like.
Oh, you're going to add vocals as well? I know
We will have a vocalist. It will not be me.
you're not doing like backing vocals as well.
No, I could try.
Auto-tune is available.
I'll give it a shot. Autotune is available, absolutely. I need to use the technology we have. Perhaps I will. I could be a part of the choir. I could layer my voice.
You could indeed. I've
you
sang a
go.
few times on this podcast, and I've definitely been auto-tuned. Actually, there's a couple of occasions I've not been auto-tuned. As you'll soon find out.
I look forward to hearing it.
I do a little bit of an In Flames ditty.
In Flames, interesting.
We've got some rules.
Time for the rules, baby.
There's rules.
Okay,
There's
rules.
There's only 2 rules.
I love rules.
I think. We've only been telling people 2 rules.
only kind of 2, but we'll impose
You'll
as we go.
think of some more as we
Impose
go
as we
along.
go. We're dictators. It's our podcast. Follow the rules or you're out.
Noted.
So, the first rule is anyone in this dream band, you cannot have been in a band with them in the past or currently in a band with them.
We might be all right on that one.
Shall we also limit him? Can't have been on his podcast. Would that ruin things? Would that ruin things for you or not?
Let's check the list. Probably not.
Because you kind of got an easy way out of that one, but having not been in a band before.
Yeah, none of these people have been on the podcast. Let's go.
Okay, well,
Okay, I was trying to throw a spanner in there, but
we've adjusted that
unfortunately-
rule. Make it
and
suit.
you also, second rule, you can't choose more than one member from the same band. So you can't have bloody Nightwish and you in it.
That's my dream band. Nightwish.
That's my dream. They already exist. No, indeed, that was the one I struggled with the most, actually.
Okay.
Not because of Nightwish, you might be surprised to hear, but because of something else. So we'll move on.
We'll move on to the next section, which is your dream drummer.
Okay, so my drummer, I kind of had a couple of choices, and then I will do honorary mentions afterwards. So when I was thinking about what I want from a drummer, I really love like apocalyptic drumming. You know, we're talking like death metal. The drummer, I was listening to a song the other day, Spectrum of Eternity by Soilwork. And the drums in that
I do like Soilwork.
absolutely blew me away. So I think I would want someone that has that, but we are going to be dealing with like quite an ambient atmospheric band as well. So it needs to be someone that has a lot of variety.
Okay.
Anyway, the drummer that I've gone for, almost for that exact reason, is Adrian Erlandson.
Adrian Erlandson. Got no idea who he is.
Not
Mark.
Adrian Edmondson.
From Cradle. Was he in Cradle?
Adrian was in Cradle of Filth. He was in At the Gates. He was in The Haunted. And he was also in Nemheim. So
not him.
No, him. That's Adrian Erlandson.
Oh, that's Adrian Erlandson. So he has been in
Adrian
Cradle.
Edmondson's like the British comedian.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you confused?
I was confused. Yeah, I thought it was the other way around.
In turn, that confused me as well.
So much confusion. Adrian Erlandson, yes, the Swedish drummer.
So from Cradle,
he was in
The
Cradle,
Haunted, etc. At the Gates.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Paradise Lost. So he seems to be a bit of a bugger for coming along for a couple of years and then leaving to go into another band. But I haven't thought about these things. We're not worrying about that. This is a dream band.
Yep.
We're just gonna
He's gonna
be
stick
together
around
forever. Exactly. But yeah, I chose him because I've seen him live in a couple of different guises, and I really love the variety of the bands that he plays in. So the first band I saw him with were called Nemheim, and they were like this, like this punky vibe. Just the energy that he had behind the kit was incredible. And I think his wife was the singer, who's now a fetish model. Love that for her. She's a professional dominatrix.
Professional.
Right.
That is an option for you if you choose to take it.
Definitely not an option for me. However much I try.
After this podcast.
I'll have a little go.
We'll see how this takes off.
I'll charge very little, I think.
But yeah, back to them. So obviously you mentioned Cradle. So he was a part of Cradle for a while.
When was he in Cradle? Do you know what years it was?
I could not tell you the specific years, I'm afraid.
I wonder if he
But I
played
think it was
with
just
our good friend Richard Shaw.
perhaps you can ask, Richard, when he joins you. You can ask if
he's
they
played-
were colleagues.
He's played with the same drummer since he's been in the band, I think.
I think
Whoever's in it now.
Adrian was an older. I think it was an
was
older
he?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian's not in the band now. People listening to this are probably going to be shocked that I'm not mentioning that At the Gates and The Haunted, who I think were. I feel like you would like The Haunted.
I like both.
Yeah, I like
The Gates.
that.
Yeah,
both
like
of them.
really iconic bands. But for me, probably the main reason is going to be his work with Paradise Lost. So again, he was with Paradise Lost, what I would call kind of their doom resurgence. So they had a couple of albums, Medusa and The Plague Within, I think he played on. And I just absolutely love what he brought to the band. Again, seeing him live, the energy that he brings, which is kind of dialed down a little bit for Paradise Lost because they're miserable, can we swear?
Yes. Absolutely.
Bastards by their own admission. So it was almost a shock to see them.
Sorry,
with him.
I just enjoyed the bastard then. Sorry.
I have to use their direct quote, you know.
I loved it.
Yeah. So that would be Adrian Erlandson. And also he's beautiful.
Oh, here we go.
Long, gorgeous, raven locks. Stunning.
Oh, how many times have you seen him live?
Probably only 3 or 4 in the different bands.
Only three or four.
Only 3 or 4. Yeah, I was just stalking him around the country.
But in different projects.
In different
you were saying.
projects, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. So
He just always pops up.
yeah, he's always there. He seems to be a consistent in the bands that I like. So maybe that's a good sign for our future working together if he seems to be
Definitely.
operating in
absolutely.
the same world
Have you met
as
him?
me.
He said hello?
I've never met him, no. Too intimidating. I think it's quite tall as well.
Is he?
And I'm a very short boy. Yeah. Wouldn't know what to do or what to say. But, I mean, he's got enough about him to tame a dominatrix, so...
When you put it that way. I mean, I think most drummers do, don't they?
You think drummers, what, they have the chutzpah?
They're battering a massive kit all day, aren't they? So
Well, that is true.
Quite speculation.
I don't know if that correlates.
I've seen
That's
a
my
few
assumption.
cute little weedy drummers.
I know, but they normally still have the chops to batter, don't they?
Well, probably do.
Any honourable mentions?
So honourable mentions for my drummer. So I did think about doing a Nightwish one, but I thought I'm not going to put them through this. We'll have spoken about Nightwish enough. But Jukka Neverlainen, who is the former drummer at Nightwish.
Sorry, is that a name?
That was. I'm so sorry.
thought you started talking a different language.
So I actually asked my Finnish friend for some support on pronouncing these names that I realised as I was coming to the podcast today, I've never actually said out loud. I've written them down. I've spoke about them on the podcast, usually with a first name. That's my get out clause. But yeah, they have very complicated surnames. And there's more to come. Spoiler.
Okay, more Finnish.
Yes, more Finnish. And then the other one I really want to give a shout out to. So this is an interesting one. Her name's Leah Larsson. She's a Swedish drummer. What I love about Leah is there's some musicians where their instrument is their whole life. So I'm thinking like Gus G from Firewind, like him and his guitar. It's his everything. And to see them perform, I think you see them and you think they're in the right place. Yeah. They absolutely love what they're doing. And I find that so inspiring. She was in a band that I'm not hugely fond of. They're called Metalite, and they are a little bit like Amaranth, kind of going in that dancey metal direction. I'm just not a huge fan. A lot of people really like them. But what really drew me to Leah as well is that she is really vocal about being trans, being in metal, and I absolutely love that. I think we need more queer representation in the metal spheres, and it's coming through, which I think is really exciting. But I think it's also really brave of people like Leah to go out there in still a very heteronormative metal world, and be very outspoken about her identity and make way for other trans people in the scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's only a good thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I certainly hope so. I think, I don't know if it's a hot take. I think a lot of the queer people making music today are making the most exciting music. It feels like for some reason they're just unbound by genre, by certain limitations. Quite often I'll be listening to a band, find out, thinking really vibing with what they're doing, and then find out that they do identify as queer. So I'm not sure if there's some correlation there about their identity.
My massive theory on great art is that it comes from pain. So maybe that's something to do with it. So
absolutely,
the struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in the metal world as well, the world of the outcasts. I mean, we're better to fit in.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Simon, for your drumming choice.
Excellent.
Next up,
your dream bass player.
Oh, my dream bass player. So this was so tricky.
Don't disappoint me.
Is he going to pick you?
I can't actually.
It's not going to pick me.
My first choice, I cannot mention until we get to the end for reasons that will become clear. But remind me to come back to who would have been my first choice. So I've had to go with a bit of a step in, like a bit of an understudy. But it's an amazing understudy. Okay. And it's Cass from Skunk Anansie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a bit of a curveball. I really love Skunk Anansie. I think, again, going back to what I said about Leah, absolute trailblazers, black and queer skin. I read her autobiography a few years ago, and it's incredible to know what she faced coming through as a black woman in the world of rock and roll when she did. I think that they're not spoken about enough as trailblazers. The things that they did, the absolute anthems that they have, they're becoming a bit of a legacy band, which I'm a bit disappointed by, because I think their newer material is great, but they are still relying on, weak hedonism.
Just weak higher. That kind of thing.
Of course we are.
Skinner's joined us on the
Don't
podcast. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned Skin, but Cass, I think, is such a presence. I've seen Skunk Anansie live more times than I can remember, but he's such a presence. Again, I seem to have a thing for towering men, but he's absolutely huge.
There's a lot about you, I think, Simon.
I think it does. So yeah, Cass Lewis, what do you think?
Great choice. I mean, I've not listened to that much Skunk Anansie. I think I've seen them at Rock City before.
I seem to remember seeing them.
Yeah. Or was it Download? I don't even know.
I just seem to remember amazing vocals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure I've seen them.
I think, not to discredit the guys in Skunk Anansie, but Skin is such a force that it can be hard to almost remember anyone else on the stage. The reason I mentioned Cass specifically for bass is that they have a song Charlie Big Potato, and the bass in that is so like this beautiful it's like almost delicious bass line that runs through it all that I absolutely loved. And I think, if I'm honest, that was probably the first time I really fell in love with bass. I was discovering music, and it all comes as one composite sound, and you start to unpack it a little bit and understand the different elements that you like and what you don't like. And that for me was my moment with bass. I was like, this is really powerful. I need a really good sound system to appreciate this.
There's always that one song that gets you gets you kind of like, I love that. I love bass now.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all it takes. One good bass line.
Absolutely. So Charlie Big Potato, that's the one. I will say though, it's never as good on record as it is live. Oh, just the way that it like rumbles through your belly is incredible.
Yeah, it's just that air being moved, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I quite like it.
You can't recreate that. You need sheer volume.
The brick wall in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Any honourable mentions?
Honourable. Well, I can't mention my honourable mention, but we will come back to it a little bit later. But of course, you, from my solaces, Dan.
That was a long time ago.
A long time ago. That's when our paths first crossed without realising. I saw both Danny and Dan on stage supporting Delane.
Indeed. Rock City.
So again, that through line of symphonic metal.
And you'd forgotten, but you'd also seen us support Cobra and the Lotus.
But that's not symphonic metal, so
then
who cares?
Yeah, what's that classed as?
I think I just call it like modern rock roll. I think she probably would say like
Modern what, Simon?
she probably, I don't know how she describe it. Maybe like, I feel like it started a bit like new wave of British heavy metal, really inspired. And then as it's evolved, it's become a little bit of a, can I say hodgepodge of different, I'm not a big fan.
I can't remember them all, Danny. What are they like, Danny?
I just remember her having like quite a deep voice.
Yeah, deep voice and a really great voice. Yeah. I just feel like the music wasn't really doing that much. It relied a lot on her being a beautiful woman with a gorgeous voice. And I'm not sure. Later albums, I think, started to open up a little bit and they became a bit more flexible with their sound. But the first few didn't really grab me.
I think they were Canadian as well.
They were Canadian.
Canada. You make me do these things, Danny.
I had a feeling that you'd do that.
So she'd been weaned on maple syrup, for example.
Absolutely, I can only imagine.
Probably contributed to
the voice.
To a manly voice.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
Wait a minute. What about Geddy Lee?
Oh, yeah, no, it contributes to his high voice.
And his low end and his
What
bass.
it does, maple syrup identifies a good quality in a voice and enhances it.
That's incredible.
So much wasted breath there.
You should have an advert in here for maple syrup.
I should. I could do adverts.
If we get some for free, I love maple syrup.
Oh, there we go then. If I mention maple syrup every episode that there's Canadians on, then maybe we'll get some kind of maple syrup sponsorship. And then we could drink it like we're drinking this water right now.
Have you had a Canadian on the podcast yet?
No,
not yet.
We talked about Canadians though, because Danny loves Thornley. Ian Thornley.
Ian Thornley, yeah.
Are you a Thornley fan?
I'm not
Big
too
Wreck,
sure.
his band is.
What, Big Wreck?
Yeah, Big Wreck.
Which you're repping today. I don't
repping.
think I've listened to Big Wreck. What genre, what style?
It's like Big Wreck.
Big
It's
Wreck sounds great.
They kind of join everything from like Dire Straits right through to what's like the heaviest kind of sound. I don't know. It's hard to kind of put into a box and like box it up really. Dan doesn't like most of it.
I just prefer Ian Thornley's first kind of solo album as Thornley, which is basically like a new metal light.
Oh,
New metal
okay.
light.
Okay, this explains why I probably not followed. I was never big on the new metal scene.
Was you not?
I was not. With the exception, obviously, of Evanescence, but I don't believe that they were new metal. I think they just had a rapper on their first song and everyone said, this is new metal. They were gothic metal from the beginning.
Bring Me to Life.
Bring Me to Life.
I don't think she wanted to release that song, did she? As
She,
like the
no,
single.
she didn't want it with the rapper on it, and they forced her to have it on because they didn't think she could carry a band.
She didn't want money.
She didn't want the money.
Which is
It's all about the
absolute
music.
bullshit.
Well, clearly,
It worked, though,
where
didn't
is
it?
he now?
The
Where is
record
Paul?
label knew what they wanted, and it worked.
But same again, there's loads better songs on that first album, isn't
Yeah, there
there,
is,
than
yeah.
that one.
Agree. That first album is an absolute classic.
I
And a
agree.
gateway for so many people into the symphonic and gothic world.
I will say,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it is really.
It has got that new metal production on it, though.
Well, they were with Wind Up,
you-
right? Who
yeah.
That's probably how it gets lumped in with that, I suppose, sometimes, because it does sound quite.
It's
new
the
metal-esque.
detuned guitar riffs, isn't it, that give it that kind of
Yeah,
feel.
I feel.
And then the big chorus, single on choruses is like very new metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
can
see
see
what you
why
mean,
they-
Simon, about it kind of being like a gateway into symphonic stuff. Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely. They were an interesting band, Evanescence, because I think they kind of came along simultaneously to all of these European bands, and I think oblivious to one another's presence. And then they came out, and everyone was asking Lacuna Coil and Within Temptation about Evanescence, and they were like, "We've never heard of them." And likewise, Amy Lee was like, "Who on earth are these European crazy people in corsets dancing around?" But I think nowadays they operate in the same scene and they're always collaborating. But at the time, it was quite interesting how it happened simultaneously.
Nice. Shall we move on to
Oh,
your little area of expertise?
Oh, is
Danny?
this
That's it.
yours?
Are
Okay.
you having a lead guitarist?
Yes.
'Cause some people have not been choosing them. What is your dream lead guitarist then?
So my dream, and this one I'd really needed some support on the pronunciation, is Jani Limitainen, who again was in multiple projects, but probably most famous for Sonata Arctica, the Finnish power metal band.
Dave loves them.
Yeah.
They, for me, were quintessential power metal when it was coming through. I absolutely loved it. Like a lot of people, battle metal led me into the world of actual power metal.
Battle.
Do you remember battle metal being a really big thing?
I can't cope with battle metal.
What's the difference between
They have
some of
orcs
these
on
genres?
stage.
Yeah, it's just a bit more performative. And
Is it?
I think the lyrics are very themed, aren't they?
There was one on at Mangata Fest last year. Not this year, last year. I can't remember what they're called, but there was about 8 of them on stage.
Okay.
And they all looked a little bit funny.
I think I don't mind them in small doses. I think the battle metal takeover was just too much for me. I love Tourist House. I went to see Tourist House. I thought they were great fun.
They're the original, aren't they? Are they one of the...
I want to say they're the
I'd
original.
say they're the original battle metal band.
I've heard of Taurus House.
Exactly.
Yeah, they did the cover of Rasputin as well, right? The Boney M song, I think. Yeah, they were great fun. But then it just became so diluted. It felt like all that Metal Hammer would talk about was battle metal. But yes, I mean, I can't complain that it did kind of get me into power metal a lot more. And Sonata Arctica were one of my favourite bands during then. The ferocity of the guitars, again, like we said with Cat and that bass, this was when I was so enamoured with the guitar and the speed that people can play with.
Yeah, it's
I guess
crazy.
for a lot of people, Dragon Force, and Dragon Force being on Guitar
Guitar Hero, Through Fire and
Through the
Flame.
Fire and Flame. It
Whatever it's
felt
called.
like everyone when I was growing up knew that one song.
Sorry. Gotta get out of there.
But absolutely, but it just blows my mind. I mean, again, maybe because I can't play any instrument, like to see people playing like that was absolutely incredible. And Jani is absolutely that kind of player, especially in Sonata Arctica when they're at their power metal peak. What do you think of power metal?
Well, I was going to say that all of these genres that you're talking about, even right through to symphonic metal, it's not a style of music that I've really listened that much to. But I am going to after this podcast because you're naming all these musicians.
So
and
you
it's
can
kind
slate my choices, right? You got to listen.
I think it's good to like.
I won't even listen, but I will still slate
You'll
your
still
choices.
slate. I know. You're consistent, Dan. Thank you.
Power metal just reminds me of a band that we used to play with back in the olden days called Metaloid.
Is that classed as power metal?
Metaloid.
I'd say so.
Like, so is it like soaring big vocals and like
Sonata Arctica, or
yeah.
Metaloid. Yeah, Sonata Arctica, the vocalist Tony Kakko is an incredible voice and the heights that he can reach. They are an interesting one now because we might disagree on Sonata Arctica if you listen to them. They kind of hit the peak, their power metal peak, and they were, I feel like, about to break through as one of the big bands. And then they just decided, we're not going to really do that style anymore, and now go a lot more proggy, a lot more downbeat. I mean, a lot of their stuff, and I would describe more as like AOR, some of it, it's really mild, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that a lot of fans felt a little bit disappointed that they took that big switch.
I find power metal a little bit over the top, and I feel like they play really fast guitar lines, but it loses a lot of the feeling for me.
Okay.
Whereas I prefer something a little bit slower, a little bit more progressive.
Where you can feel every note.
Feel every note and kind of the emotion behind every note. I find power metal a little bit emotionless. But again, I haven't listened to a lot, so I can't I'm not dissing all power metal.
No, of course, but I don't know if it's controversial, but I would agree with that. I think that power metal for me is more of like an escapist genre. It's very fantastical and a little bit silly, and I quite like that.
There's a time and a place for it, isn't there? I will give you that. Yeah, there's a time and a
Absolutely.
place.
And I'm talking about this now, 33 years old, I don't listen to power metal that often anymore. But at the time...
It's for kids.
I've grown
Simon
out of
McMurdo.
it.
Power metal is for kids. You heard it here first.
Ruining my
There's a
reputation.
t-shirt designed for you, Simon.
I should never have gone on Picks and Licks. Ruined everything.
Picks and Licks? What's that?
What?
Picks and Licks?
What is it called?
Pick and licks.
Oh, Pick and Licks. Oh, my apologies. I didn't realise that the first one wasn't...
Plural.
So sorry. I think I've come to the wrong podcast recording.
Yes, you have.
I'm at Picks and Licks down the road.
Get out.
So there's only one pick?
Pick and Licks.
Okay, my apologies. I'm so sorry. There's only room for one pick in this room.
Pick and Licks.
Pick and Licks. Thank you for listening to
Say it again.
Pick and Licks.
Again.
Pick and Licks.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough
Is that
bullying.
right? My goodness. You really made me question it. I thought I'd completely said the wrong name.
My apologies there. I don't like to get like that, but
I'm so sorry.
Well, Ross, you are.
I'm so sorry. That should have been on the rules. No one told me I couldn't mispronounce the podcast name. Was that just assumed knowledge?
that's assumed.
Okay, it is quite disrespectful of me. I'm so sorry.
It's
Back to power metal, shall we?
No, I think we're slated power metal. You got anything bad to say about power metal?
Yeah, I've not listened to enough of it yet.
Dragon Force? Dragon Force is power metal, isn't it?
I'd say if it's anything like what the drummer in Dave, who plays in the bands I play in, if it's anything like what he showed me, I might struggle a little bit.
You're too old for it, is that what you're
I
saying?
love how nice Danny is. I love how nice.
Very diplomatic.
He's the diplomatic one. I'm the horrible one.
But I will go away and I will have a listen to some.
I don't want to be the one person, though, that makes you listen to power metal. Because actually, Yanni went on to what I believe is a better band after Sonata Arctica.
Okay.
So
Who's
he
this then?
is with Insomnium.
Okay, what kind of genre is this one?
Death metal.
Oh, I like death metal.
Okay, that's
much
probably...
much more atmospheric, doomy, incredible, really emotional death metal. I really love their stuff.
Okay, that sounds more like my kind of
Yes,
thing.
I was going to say, if you're going to go and listen to something, listen to Insomnium. Again, and he was in Insomnium for a couple of years. So Yanni, just like I mentioned, Daniel, he has a bit of a bad reputation. He kind of just ghosts bands that he's in, and then they have to eventually replace him. So I don't know how successful my band is going to be. But he also did a really great project with Annette, who was in a band called Nightwish, called The Dark Element, which is also really great. But Insomnium for me is what really drew me to his music. And I think, again, just like I said with Daniel, seeing him playing this really, really optimistic power metal and then going into this really often quite depressing but gorgeous death band and seeing the versatility in his playing. And he's still got that energy as well. I think that you don't need to necessarily lose that energy when you're playing this kind of music. And seeing him live was incredible.
Excellent. Well, I think I'm going to lean more towards the Insomnium. I will
yes.
check them out.
Yeah, we'll check them out. I will also. I'm not going to check out the power metal.
Okay,
I know I don't
fine.
like it. I know I don't like it.
Fine.
Why would I?
They have
Anyway,
a 9
moving
minutes.
on.
They have a 9-minute song I could recommend to you, Sonata Arctica.
A 9 minutes? What's
Yes.
the song?
White Pearl Black Oceans, maybe, perhaps.
I'll give it 30 seconds.
The sound of the waves crashing in the intro. Enjoy that.
Is it a 4-minute intro?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just an elongated normal song, really.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we're going to move on to your...
Do you not want my my honourable mention for guitarist?
Oh, have you got one?
Yeah.
Simon,
no,
fire
no.
away. Fire away.
I don't want it. Is it another power metal guitarist?
No, so this is
Thank God,
someone...
you can say it then.
Thank you for the permission. So this is someone I kind of just wanted to be in my band somewhere because they are an incredible multi-instrumentalist. For me, one of the most incredible songwriters in metal today, and finally starting to get some what's the word I'm looking for? Recognition,
Yeah.
thank you. Recognition for their years of incredible work. And that's Ian Lucassen from Aerion, Star One. Clearly not getting recognition in this room, but for me, one of the most incredible artists, these beautiful, really complex concept albums. So if you like prog metal, listen to Aerion.
I love concept albums. Okay.
This is right up your street.
Oh, the Chung album was a concept album.
Emperor Chung.
Yeah,
so it was.
Yeah.
The Rise of Chico Chung.
So you have a lot in common with Ian Lucassen.
Yes. Does he do them about penguins?
No, unfortunately not. Maybe that'll be his next piece of work.
What kind of idiot would do that?
I don't know. Definitely not me. Oops.
Maybe in decades' time, someone will be on a podcast talking about Emperor Chung and saying, finally, they're getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yes, it'll be me and Danny.
Episode 2000
Episode
of
2000.
Pick and Licks.
Thank you for getting it correct that time, Simon. Okay, so what bands was he in again? Sorry. I missed the band name because I didn't recognise anything.
So he was Arion. He's done Star One. I think he's at the point now where everything's just called Arjen Anthony Lucassens and then the name of the band. So just look for his name.
Oh, so he does that
Arjen
at the
Lucassen.
start, like
Yeah.
Frank Herbert's Dune.
Yes, absolutely. And he's a bit of an enigma as well. I told you earlier I quite like that. He didn't perform live for a very long time, very much a studio project. And then I think he saw where the money was and suddenly occasionally does shows. But he's incredible. He did an album with Anneke van Giersbergen, who you might know from Devon Townsend Project.
Oh.
She was on, the female
yeah.
vocalist on like ER and that album. Addicted, was it?
Yeah, I think she was. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's
got a
incredible.
great voice.
Incredible. She has a beautiful voice, yes. Which I guess leads us on to...
Talking about voices, it's time for your
Dream.
vocalist. Who are you picking?
It was in stereo then.
Who am I picking? So this one was really, really tricky. But then the choice came to me. If I could have a dream band, who would I choose? And there is you won't know this person, I apologise in advance, probably. But for me, she's the most emotive, incredible, passionate vocalist working in metal today. I've not seen a single person listen to her music without being just blown away by her voice. So I'm really excited for you to go away and listen.
Definitely picking her up.
I absolutely can, because it's that good. So her name is Agnete Kirkevag from Madam Autumn, who are a Norwegian, a little bit like Big Reg, very hard to describe kind of band. But let's say there's some doom in there. There's some... I would call it, let's just say metal band. And you can listen and define it yourself. But Agnete's voice for me is just absolutely sensational. I am not necessarily one for technical skill, which a lot of people, we spoke a lot about symphonic metal, that's what they're really drawn to, these incredible technical opera vocalists. And I do enjoy that, I love the drama of that. But what I love about Agnete is that it's the rawness, it's the emotion, it's the way her voice breaks. It's the fact that when she's singing a song, she's giving it her absolutely everything. This is not like, take number 60. This is her pouring everything she has out into the music. And you can hear I'm like evangelical about her because not enough people know her. I'm surprised that she didn't blow up and started appearing on features once Madam Autumn started to get a little bit more famous, because if I was in any band, I would want her to feature on my songs. She's incredible.
Well, I've never heard her, unfortunately, but
You've
after that...
completely sold that to me, so I'm going to go away and listen.
You should work as a PR man because you sold it to me.
Well, there you go.
Can you sell this podcast for us?
I can try my best in such a similar way.
Imagine this podcast is whatever her name is. Insert it here.
Yeah. The thing about Pick and Licks is that they just put their heart and soul into absolutely everything they do. The way that Dan is almost crying when he's interviewing me because he loves this music so much. This is why I'm here today.
I'm crying now.
Especially power metal.
Well,
I just love it. I can't even
the
say
anger
it.
that comes out of him.
Can't pretend that I love it.
You're very raw with your anger.
I am, aren't I?
I'm just intrigued about her vocals.
Yeah.
So she got this kind of... Obviously, she's got the melodic ability, but she got like this aggressive ability.
Yeah,
as
quite
well,
aggressive. So I feel like I should mention, just because I've spoken a lot about symphonic metal, she's not got that higher range. It's a much deeper voice. In some songs, very androgynous as well. You wouldn't necessarily know whether you were listening to a man or a woman. It's quite deep, very raspy. And that's what I love about it. Like I say, the breaks in her voice are my absolute favourite thing. The way that it just sometimes shatters, always at the most beautiful part, the most emotive part of a song. Yeah. And they are masters of crescendo. Madam Autumn, they have a song called Hangman. If that's the one you've never listened to, listen to Hangman. It's the song that starts out, I'm sorry, Dan, a little bit bluesy, jazzy kind of opening to lure you into a false sense of security. And then absolutely from nowhere crashes with these riffs and drums and her voice just wailing. It's incredible.
I love crescendo. That is one of my favourite musical implements. So I look forward to it.
Lots
I'll
of great
definitely be checking
crescendos.
that out.
Hangman. There you go. But Dream Vocalist was a tricky one as well. There was a few people I wanted to mention. Before I go on from Madame Autumn, they have the most incredible bass parts to their music, which is what I mentioned earlier. But I knew I had to have Agnet as the vocalist, so I couldn't have the bassist Tormont as my bassist. So he's getting his shout out now, but you'll probably like the bass elements. I feel like they're really front and centre in Madame Autumn as well, which I really like.
Good,
you would approve.
That's what I like.
Where the bass should be.
Exactly.
Front and centre.
Guitar in the background.
Yep.
Bass up front.
A bass always makes everything sound better.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it takes a good bass player to do that, though.
Is that what drew you to being a bass player? Because you loved bass, or was it?
Oh, you're interviewing me now.
Sorry, the podcast is jumping out.
If I'm honest, I joined the band when my football team finished because we're too old for the kids team, and we had to join the adults team. And I'm from Ilkeston, so my legs would have been broken 15 times over if I was to play my style of football as well as a defender. I'd have died. So we started a band instead called The Mutiny.
Oh, yeah, that was your very first.
Yeah,
band,
so
wasn't it?
very first band with football guys.
With Danny Beardsley as well?
No, we met years later.
This is when I was 15, that kind of age. And I played bass because they needed a bass player, but also because I used to watch MTV2. And the Korn video for Blind was always on. I mean, Fieldy's not the best bass player in the world, but he had a distinct tone. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of because I taught myself, so a lot of my original playing was just whacking the bass effectively, the same as Fieldy kind of did. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into bass, and I just loved it. I just loved the aggressiveness of it, I suppose, and the fact you could get some melodic parts out of it as well.
Interesting.
And it acts as the glue for everything, I think, bass.
Right.
Because it bridges that gap between the rhythm and the melody, doesn't it?
It does,
it kind of pulls it all together.
I feel the absence of bass the most, I find, when that's missing.
Yeah, it's not the same without it, is it?
Yeah. Because you can listen to some tracks when you listen to a verse and the guitars completely drop out and it's just drums and bass. And it's like, oh, I don't feel like there's anything missing.
Right.
No, that's it. I think the drums and bass can carry music more than drums and guitar can.
Totally.
You'd really miss the bass if it was just drums and guitar. But like I said, you wouldn't necessarily miss the guitars if you got a great bass player and a great drummer. It sounds incredible.
Like the time at that Chung gig when you decided to walk off stage and stop playing.
Oh. Having a tantrum?
No, just for a
Not
laugh.
Dan. Oh.
What gig was that? I can't remember where it was.
It was somewhere like Burnley or somewhere like that.
Not Snooty Fox?
No, it was that one where Spiritus were playing Rage Against the Machine and the floor was flexing.
Oh, yeah.
As everybody was bouncing.
And you
I just
walked off stage?
I walked off stage and went backstage to Spiritus and just stopped playing and stood in front of them.
Meanwhile, we're on stage playing in front of a crowd.
Wow.
And it felt very empty. Because what's happening?
I only did it for
We need you.
comedic effect.
Did it go down well? Did people enjoy the comedy?
Yeah, with Spiritus.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The crowd's still confused.
Not so much the crowd or my band.
Dan, your band thought there was a technical issue. So at the time, it wasn't a problem.
There was no technical issue.
Afterwards, when we found out.
It was for comedy. It was to make Spiritus laugh.
That was the gig where we did face swaps on... it's when we got like an app to do face swaps.
Oh, with you and Martin.
And I
Oh my
swapped
God,
my
the
face with
face
Martin
swap
Jackson.
era.
And it was...
Oh, it made me feel sick. But yeah, it was a fun... I can't remember that gig at all, sorry. I would like to pretend I can, but I can't remember it.
Didn't do that at download though, did you?
No.
Made the most of your moment.
The card again.
I just fed you that one. You can have that.
Thank you. But yeah, no, download was incredible. And I would not have just stopped playing. It was too good.
Too much respect for download.
Too much of an occasion, yeah.
Too much of an occasion. Where did we get?
Honourable mention.
Honourable mention. So I wanted to shout out Celia Vergaland from The Gathering.
Simon, you could be just making all these names
I
up.
could just-
You could all be
yeah, I
comedy
So many of
names.
these names I've not heard
could.
of.
We'll Google them afterwards and none of them exist.
Don't
So you just
exist.
literally, and you just took the complete piss out of the podcast.
Created some fake names. I just wanted to get a free peppermint tea.
You do anything for a sweet finale.
Well, I was looking. I was
Keep that
thinking
staying
about
in.
my free finale. And I realise we get to this point and all of my honourable mentions you don't know. But I did have something I wanted to mention to you in that I started to look for consistent themes. And one thing that's really always drawn me in music is female-fronted bands in various genres. So we mentioned Skunk Anansie, which are very different to Nightwish, which is very different to Madame Awesome. You know, all of these bands, the only consistent being the female presence at the front. And what I have always been interested in is why we, as queer people, especially queer men, generally are so drawn to women in music. And if we think about pop, for example, a lot of gay men resonate with your Kylies, your Madonnas, your Chers. Why is that, right? So I've been doing some research over the last few months. There's an incredible paper by this guy called Dr. Craig Jennings, where he talks about diva worship in pop music and about why gay men associate with it. And a lot of it is to do with strong, powerful women singing about loving men and the issue of men. Okay. And that, it seems quite obvious when you put it like that, right? And I thought, this kind of makes sense. Okay, we're singing, we understand that. But metal is very different. Like bands like Nightwish don't sing love songs. Bands like Arch Enemy aren't singing about men. Like Alyssa and Angela are not getting angry about that. So I'm really curious, and I don't have an end point. I don't have a happy ending.
You haven't got a conclusion?
No, but maybe that could be my next book, working on that. Because I'm so curious as to why that is. Because a lot of my queer friends, especially men, that are into metal are really gravitate towards women. And you see it a lot. If you look at a lot of Nightwish crowds, especially the dedicated like South American fans, a lot of them are gay men that are obsessed with this operatic diva singing with a metal band. So I think we need to take Dr. Jennings's research into the metal sphere.
That's really interesting. It really is.
Maybe that could be your next book. Are you working on any other books at the minute, Simon?
I would. Well, I think maybe we've got an idea here. We could work on that one. I don't know. I don't know any bands as well as I know Nightwish, so it would be a lot more hard work to do another band. But perhaps, who knows, in that kind of style. But I definitely am interested in exploring like the context of metal. Like I said, I don't have any technical knowledge, and the specifics of the music is completely lost on me. So thank you for dealing with me for the last hour, because I know that you're very in tune with that. But the actual context of it and the lyrics and what brings people together and what draws people to certain bands, I find really fascinating. So I think I'd like to do something in that vein, especially with that queer lens.
A research paper.
A research paper, exactly. I'm going to make my millions on a research paper, I don't think so.
You could do a podcast on it, Simon. Could expand.
Yes, true, we could.
It's like a spin-off one.
Yeah, absolutely. I should get
psychology of metal.
The psychology of metal. Yeah.
And I do want to add something that you just said that the technical aspect that you don't know anything about the technical side, but I've really enjoyed listening to you talk about music.
Thank
because
you.
you're clearly a very good listener of music, and it's the most important thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if somebody's not going to listen to it properly. It's like I noticed at the beginning of the podcast, she was talking about how you could listen to the track as like this cohesive kind of sound. We were saying not long back that we've kind of lost that ability in a way.
Right.
So we're kind of envious that you can do that, and you're starting to like pick out these individual elements. So I
think when you're a musician, you focus on your bit so often, and
then
you listen to it as you kind of dissect everything, because that's kind of what you do when you're writing songs.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard to kind of listen to it as a pure listener.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought of that when I was listening to your episode with Martin, and I think that is probably a very different way that we consume music.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should make the most of that holistic listening experience.
Yeah, we've kind of lost it. Because you got like wrapped up, don't you? And like, what was that? What was that scale? That was unusual. And,
or the tone of that.
The tone of that.
The tone of that bit of bass there is delicious.
But then you don't
listen to your face to foul. You don't listen to it as a whole.
You can miss out. I can sometimes miss out the story of a song. Because I'm focusing so much on the technicalities.
I find lyrics so hard to listen to because I'm listening to the music so much that the lyrics just pass me by. But I've started doing that recently, like reading the lyrics along with the music to try and listen better, I suppose. But like, I suppose with films and stuff, I have subtitles on at all times as well, so maybe it's just me.
It's interesting. I think that's possibly why, to loop this back to Nightwish again, that's probably why I gravitate towards Nightwish so much, because they have such an interesting story to their lyrics. And I think we miss out a lot of that with a lot of metal bands. A lot of the bands, even though peers to Nightwish, we've talked about power metal. It's this fantasy world that doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of almost silly lyrics for the sake of it. The reason I think I can talk about Nightwish for 60 episodes on a podcast is because they pour so much of themselves and their own lives into the music. And it helps as well that there's one main guy behind it, and it's all about his experiences and the complications of the band and how that feeds into the music, whereas you don't necessarily get that with a lot of other bands.
So it's like a soap opera.
It is quite like a soap
yeah.
opera, absolutely. And I really love when that context feeds into the music. I mean, you can tell me as people that create music, I don't think I could ever create music that was so far removed from my own life. So like when Nightwish fired their singer, I'm not surprised that the whole album after that was all about the drama of that, the aftermath and the why it happened, because...
Well, two of my albums, one of them was an epic about a penguin going on a quest for revenge, followed up by an EP that was instrumental.
It was about an
So
owl.
I can't relate,
So maybe
Simon.
you can't relate.
An owl and a squid having a battle in space.
Well, this is important to you. I'm sure if we dug down, if I did a podcast on you, we could find a hidden metaphor in there about why that
It's escapism.
impacted your life.
It's
A lot of the time, isn't it?
Escapism.
Escapism. Now I'm going to psychoanalyze you. See, I'm an English student, so we learn to like read every single thing you say and apply it to your life.
I'm scared.
We're going to learn some
should be.
things about you.
I don't want to know them. I'd rather them stay locked away. Thank you, Simon. So it's time to summarise your choices, Simon.
Okay.
So we're going to go through one by one. If you could just
And you can
shout
remember
out
all
the
of
name.
them. So do you want to say, I'll say
I
the
can't
instrument,
remember
and
one
you
of
can
them.
say...
No offence.
I did say to Dan before this, I was like, do you, I'm worried you're not going to know these people. Do you want me to send you in advance who I'm going to say?
I will need to write them down.
But we made it
afterwards.
work without, didn't we?
Yeah, no,
Save you my notes.
it's not about the names. It's about the story behind them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, first up, your dream drummer.
Was Adrian Erlandson, Paradise Lost, Cradle of Filth, At the Gates, The Haunted, Nemhain.
Thank you.
He's good, isn't he?
He's good, yeah.
Your dream guitarist.
Jarni Limatainen, The Dark Element, Sonata Arctica, Insomnium.
Your dream keyboardist.
Me,
Simon
Tracy Chapman,
McMurdo.
Fast Car.
No Tracy. You can't identify as Tracy Chapman as much as you want to.
I think I'd be a great Tracy Chapman. Just living the quiet life, making my millions.
You'd have to do something quite illegal.
Next.
Your dream. Your dream bassist.
My dream bassist was Cass from Skunk Anansi.
And your dream vocalist.
Agnet Kirkevag from Madam Autumn.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Brilliant. Thank you,
I
Simon.
would say a great band, but I don't know who any of those people are.
To be
Yeah.
confirmed.
To be confirmed.
Yeah.
We have a little section at the end where we analyse.
I'm looking forward to that.
So we go away, listen to bits of the artist that you picked and try and analyse it.
We try not to be too harsh.
Yeah.
But
Be
I
as
am
harsh
still
as you like.
I am still harsh.
You know technically that this is not going to work, and you can tell me that.
I can be abrasive.
But we're not qualified musicians. It's just years of trial and error. So,
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of both self-taught, aren't we? So we don't know what we're doing.
Well, I had lessons for a while, but yeah.
Oh,
Didn't you know that?
I thought you were self-taught.
No, I had lessons for
Who
about
taught you?
4 years. Oh, I had about 5 different guitar teachers.
Oh, why is that?
They just
Do you not want to go into that right now?
no. I
It's
don't
another
know. I
podcast.
think
Is
it's
it-
just like
is it
some of them
pain-
moved away.
is
and
it
then
painful?
Some of them
Is it
passed me on
painful?
to a different teacher, and
Okay.
one of them died.
Oh,
Yeah,
whilst teaching you.
that shut you up, didn't it? Whilst teaching me, yeah.
I was gonna go darker, but I thought best not.
No, don't do
More
that.
editing.
Yeah, more editing.
More
There's,
editing to
there's
do.
so much editing.
I'm sorry. I'll do a bit of this one.
Okay.
Is it normally this bad?
No,
Oh, are you on one today?
he's been. No, I mean,
It's because he can't
No,
talk
he's-
about the artist, so he has to just be his
I meant the other way.
cheeky yourself.
It's normally worse.
Oh, really? Dan.
He's been very tame today.
You've been so tame. Oh my God, really?
Should we name the band?
Name your dream band, baby.
Name that band.
Let's name the band. So this is the thing I struggled with the most. Naming the band is so difficult. I don't know
We
how
know.
you've chosen so many iconic names during your time. But one thing I started to look for ideas over the last week or so, and I find that a lot of I don't know if this is a symphonic thing. You tell me. A lot of symphonic bands seem to like lend names from other artists' bands from their albums. So like Epica are named after a Camelot album called Epica. There's a band called Control the Storm from Birmingham who were named after a Delane song called Control the Storm.
Oh no, not really come across that before. It must be a symphonic metal thing.
Well, I think it is. So I feel like we need to stick to our symphonic tradition.
Okay.
And I'm going to steal a name from an iconic band's album.
What band?
Catatonia.
I love Catatonia.
I love Catatonia.
Last few albums have been mega.
Yes. So we're going back to their
I think I've seen them.
Doomier days.
Probably on one of these somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, I
download.
imagine this would be their kind of, they would be a tech
Download.
fest.
Did they play with? Did they go on tour with Opeth at some point?
Yeah, I think they supported Opeth, yeah.
With like a dude on guitar and singing, and I think there was a girl singing as well. Maybe.
Celia Wergeland, my honourable mention, sang with Catatonia. Could be.
There you go.
There you go. It all comes
circle.
together,
There we
doesn't
go.
it?
Yeah.
It all comes. Yeah, love Catatonia. So you like their newer stuff, which is, would you say it's a bit more proggy?
Yeah, a little bit proggy. There's got elements of prog in there, hasn't it? There's one, I can't remember what the album's called. Something red, is he red in the title?
The Great Cold Distance.
The Great Cold Distance, that's the one.
Yes. It's red on the cover.
Red on the cover, okay.
I
The
can
red
remember
album.
all this.
Because I don't have to remember how to play an
But
instrument.
I love that album.
That is a great album. That is a great album. So I think it's the album just after that I'm naming my band after.
Okay.
So I looked through their discography and I think that this one has the right level of drama, but also a little bit of camp because, you know,
Camp drama.
us gothic girlies are a little bit camp. So my band is going to be called Viva Emptiness.
Viva Emptiness.
Viva Emptiness.
You're right, that's got a bit of campness
A
in there,
little bit
hasn't
of
it?
camp, exactly. I feel like, most symphonic metal bands name, when you first see them, you're a bit like, ugh. But you kind of come around. So hopefully one day you'll be able to say it without smirking. Viva Emptiness.
Viva Emptiness. So you
Viva
heard it here.
Emptiness.
Very melodramatic,
It is,
isn't
isn't
it?
it? We've reached
We've reached the end.
the end of the podcast.
Thanks, Simon.
Are you
It's been
sad? Have you
brilliant.
enjoyed
Really
yourself?
enjoyed this.
I've had so much fun. I
you
feel like I've
enjoyed it?
learned so much from you both and maybe have taught you something after you've listened to the acts that I've
Definitely.
chose.
I've
Maybe.
definitely learned something.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I feel like you've learned everything you're going to learn in your life and you're not taking in new information. Is that correct?
That's. I think we need to take this offline, Simon. You're saying a lot about my character there. Have you enjoyed your tea?
I've loved the tea. I've come to the
What was it? The sweet retreat.
the delicate,
Sweet finale.
the sweet finale.
finale.
My apologies.
Not the sweet retreat.
The best-
Sweet
more.
finale. And it really was wonderful. Thank you so much to Heather for providing the beverages.
She's not
Can we
bad, is she?
mention Heather or is she like secret?
No, you can mention her.
Okay.
It's not secret. Shouldn't do a lot, but you can mention her if you like.
Heather was the first
She does
person
loads, by the way. She
spoke
booked-
to about this.
Sorry, I just had to mention, after being horrible about her, I always have to be nice afterwards. She books all the people in for us. She does all
Incredible.
the logistics.
She
does
cooks for you.
She cooks for me, so I'm well fed for these podcasts. She does all the social media stuff. She does loads.
She's not going to hear this.
I know she's not actually listening.
She's not going to listen
She
back.
doesn't. Well, no.
But still, I can't be horrible about her and not say all that stuff because it's not fair and it's not right. And I am an honourable man after all.
Absolutely. Kind heart.
It's in there somewhere, Simon. So where can you be found on social media, Simon? How do people find you, your podcast and your book?
Yep.
My book. So you can find me at Spark3times on Instagram. I post most things on there, including podcast stuff. But the podcast is at Podcast Pendulum on Twitter, formerly known as X, and Instagram. Also on Facebook, but I very rarely update it, so don't bother.
It's for old people.
Absolutely. And yeah, we've got a new season of episodes coming around September to coincide with the new Nightwish album.
What's the album called? Has it got a name yet?
Yeah, the new album's called Yesterwind, which is a made-up word.
Oh, I thought it was Finnish.
Well, it could be. Who knows? It isn't because I can pronounce it properly.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yesterwind's coming. Excited for that one. They've quit touring, so hopefully it's going to be nice, complex arrangements that they'd never be able to do live.
So they're never playing again?
No, just on a bit of a hiatus. So taking
so-
a few years off, probably will be back. Yes. So you'll probably see me at their shows as well. Like the one Nightwish show we'll get in the UK when they do
You'll be
come
there.
back touring. I'll be there.
100% there.
So you're back in September with your podcast then?
Yes, back in September. But of course, you can buy the book now. That's available worldwide now. Nightwish on Track on Sonic Bond Publishing. I will be super grateful if you want to read it. It's great if you think you know everything about Nightwish. I can probably teach you a few things. If you want to get to know Nightwish, it's a great support for whilst you're listening to all of the songs. So please buy it.
Excellent.
Available on Burning Shed, I forgot to say, the official store.
Oh, the official. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Simon. Thanks for your time, and thank you for being a great guest.
Thanks, Simon. It's been brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
No props. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Dude. Dude. I did. That was great having Simon on.
I'm just having to recalibrate because we've just had another guest on we've been interviewing, and now we're reviewing this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have some thought time, isn't it, after the actual episode, though? So that's why we do this process.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to justify our poor recording etiquette to listeners.
We like to have chance to go away and listen to some of the choices.
So we can accurately review them, basically.
Indeed.
Whether we think they're good or bad. But no, Simon was great having the podcast. Great having him on.
Oh, what a guy.
It's your first time meeting him. What did you think?
Well, he's lovely.
He is lovely and he is a good one.
And he's certainly passionate about music, especially Nightwish.
Especially
He loves Nightwish.
However, there are no Nightwish members in this dream band, which is a massive surprise to me.
Yeah, massively surprised. I'm kind of glad because it wasn't too obvious. He
surprised us a little bit, didn't he?
He definitely surprised you. I think you were really expecting some Nightwish in there.
Well, he's written a book about Nightwish and he's got a podcast all about Nightwish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was expecting effectively Nightwish.
Okay.
But we didn't. So who did we have, Danny? On drums for Simon's dream band, who was it?
Oh, thanks, mate, because that's the easiest name to do, I think.
I'll say the rest. Yeah. You say the easy ones.
Adrian Erlandson.
Adrian Erlandson from At the Gates, Cradle of Filth, Nemhane.
He's been everywhere.
Metal bands, really.
We've just had a bit of a listening session, flicked through some stuff.
Decent drummer.
Yeah, a very decent drummer.
That's my technical evaluation there. Decent drummer. I mean, he plays some pretty fast stuff.
Yeah, well, when listening to Cradle, I said to you that I prefer the newest drummer. I prefer the drummer that they've got now.
Can we just bear in mind that Adrian's quite a big guy? I think he could probably just tear your head from your body. If he fancied doing it, I think he could. Do you want to take anything back?
No, I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to take it back, but I am going to add something.
I'll go for it then.
I'm not sure if it's the influence of the production that I prefer rather than the actual
we
drumming
listened
itself.
To some old At the Gate stuff, and it's quite bad production-wise, isn't it?
It's very, 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 very raw. Which raw, heavy...
You say raw, I say bad. That's the difference between me and Danny.
Well, I think raw, like blues rock, is kind of acceptable. Raw metal is...
I don't think anything raw is that nice, Danny. There's a reason we cook steaks.
Raw carrot. I prefer raw carrot.
Oh, it's okay if it's grated.
No, I like it like... Properly.
No, I like it. I like it
like Bugs Bunny.
No, my favourite type of carrot is when it's in the oven, roasted with a bit of honey. Oh, and you get like little dark patches on it. That's my favourite.
Do you like the taste of the honey more than the carrot, though, at that point?
Yeah, probably. It's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, I think.
Yeah, it probably
flavour-wise.
is. Talking of...
Anyway,
talking of vegetables... Talking of vegetables, the song that stood out for me was "Garden of Cyrus."
Oh, what kind of vegetables grow in the Garden of Cyrus, Danny?
Raw carrot.
Just raw carrot. Does he play his drums with two massive fuck off carrots?
Because all of the vegetables that grow in gardens are actually they're already cooked. They're not raw.
You're talking shit.
Well, I just realised that I said that raw carrot grows in the garden, and it just made no sense whatsoever.
No, whereas the potatoes are baked, are they?
Yeah.
In the Garden of Cyrus. Anyway, I quite like that song. That's a good track.
Yeah, it was a really good... it's a really good production, for one, which I always like.
And some groovy drums. The drums got a bit of a groove to them.
Yeah, it's like a slower kind of display of his abilities.
Yeah, because I find a lot of the kind of blast beat heaviness sometimes loses that groove. It's playing, it's good.
It's very impressive. Isn't it?
I mean, I can't do it.
Well, I can't do any of it.
Well, you can. I've seen you do it on that little MIDI keyboard over there.
I don't think that counts. Especially when I press quantize.
That quantize button saves a million sins.
If he's going to be playing, if it's got that kind of production, and I'm going to enjoy that kind of groovy kind of playing that he's got, I do like that. So I think that's a good choice, Simon.
Yeah, so he was also in Paradise Lost.
Yeah, we had a good listen to a few tracks. One standout track for us was
No Hope in Sight.
just really moody
Oh, I
and
love-
kind of slow. The drums served the song.
Yeah, there's some nice little fills in there though as well.
Very tasteful.
Very tasteful. But I do like Paradise Lost. They're a bit of a guilty pleasure, I think.
Yeah, I think this kind of
It's like Doom.
this kind of doom metal stuff combined with At the Gates. There's like some sort of mix up between those two kind of bands in some way.
Yeah, it shows that
And
he's quite a versatile drummer as well,
very,
doesn't it?
very versatile. Yeah, rock solid drummer. So let's move on to your favourite thing.
My favourite thing, bass.
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to say this name though? Because you can actually say this one.
Okay. Thank you.
Go on then, you say who it is.
Cass Lewis.
Cass Lewis from
Skunk Anansie.
Anansie. Simon recommended we listen to Charlie Big Potato. What did you think to that?
Oh my God, bass tone.
Yeah, it's got
So
some
good.
It's got some effects on it, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
and-
Got a bit of chunk to it.
I do like Skunk Anansie, but I'm not overly familiar with them. I know the hits. I don't even know. Is that a hit? Is Charlie Big Potato a hit?
I don't know if it's hit or
before.
not, but they're very good songs.
But it started up and the bass tone kicked. It was like, oh, now we're talking. So I think that locked in with the production that's on that track Garden of Cyrus by At the Gates. That combination, those sounds is going to be quite nice.
They're a little bit odd though, aren't they? It's more of a heavy drummer.
He's a heavier drummer, yeah, but that bass tone's not going to go amiss.
No, it's not.
It
no.
really, it's a dirtier tone than it needs to be in a
Yeah,
way.
but I like that because it
But
stands
I like
out.
it. Yeah, I like it. I like it, mate.
I was saying it
It's
on the previous episode we did. Bass these days can be so insipid and basically not even there.
insipid.
Insipid. Do you like that word?
Yeah, I like it.
Hey.
Word of the day.
Whereas I appreciate a like really ballsy, in your face bass tone these days.
But I think it's got that mid range we were talking about. The snarl.
A dog being sick.
That's what you need.
It's my favourite type of bass tone.
That's what you need. Top tips from a mixing
what?
from a mixing standpoint. If you want something to sit well in a mix, because bass is always a pain.
Yeah. Well, do what I did.
Yeah,
Just get the low mids and ram it to the max
and add a bit of grit.
and add a bit of grit. There you go. The top tip there. You won't be able to hear anything else in the track, but depends what you've got in there. But another great choice from Simon there.
On keyboard.
On keyboard is Simon McMurdo himself.
Yep.
Even though he did admit he can barely play it. What was the song he said he could play? Can you remember? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
He said he could play something, but I think it was quite a poor song.
It wasn't like Creep, was it?
The song was Fast Car by Tracy Chapman.
No.
Radiohead or something.
No.
That might have been from a TV programme. That was from...
What you're on about?
it was from Superstore.
What, they play
the
Creep?
woman who could play Creep.
Oh,
That's the
they-
only song she could play on
What I
ukulele.
like is how you're bringing fictional TV episodes into our podcast now, Danny. And you clearly don't know the difference between that and real life.
I
which
love that
it's a
programme.
worry.
It was real, wasn't it?
It's real footage. It's a documentary.
Yeah.
Just like The Office was a documentary. Another one of our favourites.
Oh, I love that TV series.
I mean, Simon will have to enhance his skills significantly for this, but
Yeah.
we've already said we've got that matrix thing that you stick in your back of your head and you can learn anything.
Upgrade.
We've got the upgrade skills available.
Indeed.
Lead guitarist, Danny, your favourite section of the lineup?
Yeah, but you're pronouncing it. Go on.
I don't know if I can do it. It's Jarni Limatainen. I think I did quite well there.
That was great.
Let me know, all the Finnish listeners. I think we've got about 40, haven't we, from Finland? Write in, give us a little voice message or something.
Yep.
Let me know if I did well there or not. But he plays for the band Sonata Arctica.
You struggled more with that than you did with
I've
it.
not practiced that though, that's why.
We've had a listen to a few of their tracks and it's incredibly cheesy. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anything so cheesy in my life. But
I think we talked about power metal being cheesy, didn't we?
Yeah. But surprisingly, there's a song called Flag in the Ground. It's really fun.
I find the songs and the music great, but the vocals ruin. They take me away from it in a way.
They take you away.
They take me away because they're so cheesy.
You know, I didn't mind that one, and especially if we're focusing on the lead line of the guitarist.
That's what we're
I
doing.
think we
That's
both
what we
agreed,
did,
didn't
yeah,
we?
we both agreed.
There's this really cool. It's quite simple, the lead line in the intro, but we listened to the rest of the track, and then by the time we got to solo, there's like this crazy sweep tapped kind of. Oh, so he can certainly shred, can't he?
He's an amazing guitarist. Just a shame that he's in such a cheesy band. I think his his guitar skills could be better. Maybe in this band, this dream band.
Here we go. Simon's crafting this band here. He's going to put his skills to use.
And we've also listened to Insomnium, the other project.
The recent EP from 2023 entitled Songs of the Dusk.
I'd say it's much more grown up than Sonata Arctica.
That was your instant reaction, wasn't it?
Instant reaction. It's like a grown up version.
Production's great. It's kind of got Opeth style aggressive vocal. Guitar lines, though, what we're focusing on,
Sublime.
Fantastic. The production's really good. Really tasteful lead playing. Very good choice. Very good choice.
In diddly deed.
Vocalist.
So this is Agniet M. Kirkevaag from the band Madder Mortem.
Yep.
So, Danny, what do we think of her?
The back catalogue of stuff is ridiculous, isn't it? So we started out listening to their older material, but we've kind of landed on the latest album.
Yeah, the song Towers is probably a good example of her kind of emotional voice that Simon mentions.
Yes. And her use of melody. There's this kind of blend of, this warm melodic voice, and then she's got this kind of grit when she forces it, because he talked about her voice breaking in the right points.
Yeah.
And I can see where he's coming from on the later stuff more than their older stuff.
I think the older stuff was just maybe a little raw, like
Yeah.
probably production-wise, and probably didn't suit her voice to its kind of full potential. But the latest album is pretty decent.
What was the other track, the slower track that we enjoyed listening to?
Long Road.
Yeah, that was very emotive, wasn't it? And the tone of her voice was really suited that kind of subdued kind of...
Yeah, you won't expect it from a heavy band like this, but it does work.
Yeah, it does work.
It does work.
I think combined with the other musicians that he's picked, it's going to be... I think it will blend.
Will it blend? Yes, it will.
Yes.
We think it will anyway.
Good choice, Simon.
Yeah, well done, dude. I'm surprised, though, there's no Nightwish vocalist. But, Simon's choice. So what do you think to Simon's band overall, Danny?
I think overall, a rock-solid band. Would you go and see that band, Dan?
Yeah, I would. Would you go and see that band?
Yeah, I would, actually.
I think it'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw... If we tie it back into seeing Nightwish...
Yeah.
Which I imagine the creative direction of this band would kind of sit in that kind of arena.
Probably, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed their live set. They were a great live band.
Yeah, they are a great
really,
live
really
band.
good.
Yeah, can't deny that at all.
Yeah, there's some bands that you enjoy more in a live setting because of the show they put on. Like Rammstein, different genre, I know, but I've never put a CD on. But live,
You're right.
Oh my God.
What a show.
Nothing quite like it.
Yeah, absolute madness. Absolute madness. But yeah, I would go and see this band. I'm intrigued to kind of find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to listen to some of those cheesy guitar lines from the guitarist.
Yep. Can't beat a bit of melody.
No, it's very interesting. I'm going to ask you this question, Danny, because you always ask me. Would you buy a T-shirt?
Oh, it depends on the design, doesn't it?
Well, the band's called Viva Emptiness.
I don't know what that would be.
I mean, celebrated emptiness, maybe. I don't know. A void, a black hole.
A black hole. Well, if I've got enough cash at the end of the night, after watching the band, might partake in a few...
In a T-shirt buying session.
Well, I was going to say a few drinks, and then...
Okay.
Yeah.
Back on the drink, are we?
I didn't say alcoholic. Some mocktails, maybe?
Where are we getting mocktails from?
It's a...
I think your options are a pint or a 2-pinter.
Or a Jaeger bomb.
Or 10 Jaeger bombs. They're the only options.
I won't drink that stuff. Yeah, if I had enough money at the end of the night, I'd probably get a T-shirt. I like to get a T-shirt when I go and see a band.
I'll have a look at the designs as always and make my decision then.
We'll have to see what designs you come up with.
Indeed. I'm not getting anything through these headphones, actually, just thinking about it.
So not plugged in.
Oh, dear. We'll keep this in. It's all right. It's okay. It's just dangling.
The cable was literally just dangling.
Should I just go one? There
you go.
That's better.
Yeah, you can hear yourself.
I can hear myself now.
I don't know why you put them on, actually, because we don't need them.
Do we not need the headphones?
You always get mixed up with this.
So let me get this clear.
Zoom is the only time that we need headphones.
Why did you not say anything when I put them on? You made me look like a right twat. Cheers, dude.
I'm a heartless bastard.
You are a heartless bastard, you dick. Anyway, it was lovely having Simon on.
It was, indeed.
Everyone go out and buy his book, Track on Track. Track by Track? Something, just search for Nightwish in Amazon, it comes up.
Yep.
Written by Simon McMurdo. And if you do like Nightwish, I mean, don't listen to it if you don't, but if you do like Nightwish, listen to his podcast.
It'll be the perfect podcast if you are a Nightwish fan.
The Podcast and The Pendulum. You can find it in all the places you can find this podcast.
Indeed. Simon's a pleasure to listen to as well, isn't he?
Oh, he's got a lovely soothing voice.
Yeah, and very, articulate.
Yeah, much more articulate than us two.
Yeah, we do lots of editing.
Yes, indeed. You'll probably hear a few cuts on this. But yeah, it was great having Simon on. Check him out, and we'll see everyone soon.
Yeah, until next time, goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
We're so sorry to see